Hello, basketball brainiacs. We are back here on the Hardwood Huddle, courtesy of backsportspage.com. I am your host, Randy Zelia, along with the Jedi Knight. He is the one and only. He is the Yoda. He is not the child. He is Lord Vader himself. He is Anakin Skywalker, Mr. Bill Ingram himself. Bill, good to see you, my friend.
We're at that time of year where my daughter likes to go to Spirit Halloween every day. It's fine. I love Halloween. It's my favorite holiday. And I just walk around and I notice there aren't any Star Wars costumes. If there was a nice Jedi robe, Jedi tunic and robe that I could get just for when we're doing the Hardwood Huddle, it would be so cool to have that. But no.
How about a Vader? How about a Vader mask?
Yeah, well, I have the helmet, but it's really hard to do radio or this. What is this podcast? It's hard to do video when you're wearing the helmet. But I do. I have a Vader helmet and I have a Kylo Ren helmet as well, but doesn't make for good sound.
I just had that like the dun, 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 dun. That's like that'll be your intro video. You know what I mean? Like that'll be the thing. Yes, that's what I was looking for. Anyway, we want to thank you for taking a little time of your day, whatever you're doing when you're listening to us. Thank you for giving us a few minutes of your week so we could discuss NBA basketball with you, the audience. As the season grows near, we're going to be going on a couple times a week talking about some different topics going around the league. The one thing I don't want to talk about tonight, Kyrie Irving and COVID, but
no.
Apparently a rumor is going around right now that apparently Stephen A. Smith found out that the Nets had structured the deal for Kyrie for Ben Simmons, and Kevin Durant said, "Nah, you're not doing that."
Well, first of all, did you say Stephen A. Smith? Because not the most reliable. If I'm looking for reliable information, Stephen A. Smith is practically the Fox News of NBA information. That
him and Chris Broussard.
Yeah. Or as we talked about in the last podcast, Ben Simmons is right there, kind of the same way. But I can't imagine Simmons and Kevin Durant. That's not.
Yeah.
That's not. I mean, I guess he's going to play point guard, right? So you have one guy who can't shoot the ball playing with two guys who are incredible shooters. But it's better than Kyrie. I mean, at least he could, assuming he's vaccinated. I don't know if Ben Simmons is vaccinated, but at least he could play in all the games.
Well, and not only that, but apparently during training camp today, Joel Embiid spoke to the media and said Simmons' situation is disrespectful to the team. Yeah.
I read it. It was quite a statement he made, and it was 100% on point. Get in camp, man. I mean, you're getting paid millions and millions of dollars to play a sport, and you've got guys there that are fighting for a job. Some of the camp invites and whatnot are fighting for a job, and you've got a guaranteed contract worth millions, and you can't show up because you're unhappy about something. Oh, brother, you sure don't. Him playing with James Harden, I'd hate for them. That's the way James was in Houston.
Well, you know what though? Again, you can't knock the way James Harden played in Brooklyn last year. He played. If that's the James Harden that's going to show up, you start asking yourself with Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge, do you need Kyrie?
No, you don't. And the piece we had forgotten to talk about the other day was Patty Mills. Mills on that team, and I got to tell you, I was really hoping Dallas. As someone who lives in Dallas, I was really hoping Dallas would land him because he's the kind of player that LUKA needs to play off of. Someone who can really distribute the ball and be a spacer and everything else. Veteran, not to mention championship rings and the San Antonio.
The pedigree there. Yeah, he has
star with many accolades. Hey, Kyrie doesn't play a game. I think they're okay with Patty Mills. That's a really nice addition right there.
I agree. I think Patty Mills is going to help shape that team up a little bit, bring something with that championship pedigree. And not only that, but you just don't know what's going to happen with Kyrie because right now, with the way things are set up, Kyrie can not only not play home games, but he can't practice in New York.
No.
So
it's ridiculous.
And he loses $400,000 for every game he doesn't play.
Oh, you did the math. I was wondering how many tens of thousands of dollars it is. It's $400,000. Wow.
Yep. And he's not even blinking an eye. He's like, oh.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
I would
disrespectful. Disrespectful to you. I can't remember if it was Kevin Durant who said this or Steve Nash. I saw this comment that said, look, you've got to understand what we're trying to do as a team, and you've got to be a part of that. And if you can't be part of what you've got to put the team above yourself. It's not.
That was the owner. That was the owner of the Nets who came out and said that.
Owner of the Net. Okay, I knew I saw those comments, and I thought, that's us as a country. That could be Joe Biden saying that. Look, it's not about you and your idiosyncrasies and your paranoias. This is about what's best for us all together, and that is for everyone to be vaccinated so that this thing goes away. Because until everyone's vaccinated, we're going to all suffer from having to wear a mask or not being able to be face-to-face for media, not being able to be in arenas, fans not being able to be in arenas. It's just dumb. It's free. Go to the freaking drugstore on the corner and get the shot. But
yeah,
we know there's certain people. Kyrie, one of them, he lives on his own weird planet in the Twilight Zone.
He lives on the flat Earth.
Right.
Well, listen, while we have a few minutes tonight, let's jump ship. We talked about the Nets on Tuesday. Obviously, the story between Ben Simmons and Kyrie keeps turning and getting more interesting as we go along. But let's give the Western Conference a little bit of attention here.
Crazy.
So okay, so let's start with the Lakers. I don't like the makeup of this team. You have too many guys who need the ball in their hand to be effective.
You do. I like Frank Vogel a whole lot. He's an incredible coach. I thought he was great in Indiana. And so when the Lakers hired him, they collectively took some flack for hiring him as the head coach. I thought he was a great choice. I really did. But that's it. You've got Russell Westbrook, who needs the ball in his hands to be effective. You've got LeBron, perhaps doesn't need it to be in his hands to be effective, but you kind of want it in his hands. And then you've got, Anthony Davis trying to figure out when he's going to get a touch, and he's an all-star in his own right. So, my gut tells me this is what training camp is for. These guys are all healthy. They're all saying the right things. You've added Carmelo Anthony as a force off the bench. You've got, a really, really solid DeAndre Jordan. It's a great amount of talent on that team. The question now, it falls to Frank Vogel and his staff to take that talent and translate it into a dominant team on the court. And I can see that there is a dominant team there. It's not a natural fit. You've got is some coaching involved. There's some sacrifice involved from both, especially Westbrook and LeBron. Both of them have to sacrifice touches and sacrifice control of the game. And if they can figure out a way to do that, they can be devastatingly good. If they can't figure out how to do that, that's a lot of money to spend on a second-round team.
Yeah, well, not only that, but can Carmelo Anthony live with the fact that he's not going to be putting in 14, 15 points a game like he was in Portland? That's going to be – can he accept that he's only going to be playing maybe 10 minutes a game? I don't know if his ego will allow him to do that.
I got to tell you something. If I'm Frank Vogel, Carmelo sees a lot more minutes than that because you don't need LeBron to play 35 minutes a game. You really don't. You need him to play 30 to 32 minutes a game to play the whole season plus a deep playoff run. If you try to play him 35 to 40 minutes a night, he's not going to last the whole season. So I think the opportunity there is for Carmelo Anthony to shoulder more of a load, I would think. If it were me assigning the minutes, Carmelo plays more like 15 to 20 minutes, and some of those minutes come off of LeBron's body. And some of those minutes, quite frankly, can come off of Russell Westbrook, although he does not look like he needs the break like LeBron has in the past. Westbrook just seems to – he could play 48 minutes and be fine. But I think you've got to spell LeBron.
I have a strange feeling when either LeBron or Westbrook go to the bench, that's when you're going to see Anthony Davis be able to really move around and do his thing. I think when Anthony Davis is going to be on the floor with LeBron and Westbrook, it's just not going to be enough basketballs to go around. LeBron,
an offensive rebound situation, or pick and roll situation.
Yeah, but the thing is though, when LeBron is busy doing pick and roll with Anthony Davis, it's going to leave Westbrook feeling all sorts of
standing off to the side watching. I mean, that's, same way with him and Harden. You had that same issue. There wasn't enough ball for the two of them. But you hope that the ego issue that existed with James Harden, you hope that doesn't exist with LeBron, who has won championships, who does not need to establish his reputation or his who he is in the NBA is not in question. Maybe that gives him room to defer to Westbrook to an extent that Harden was not willing to.
Well, and the funny thing is, Jeannie Buss and the brain power of the Lakers, it took a lot of heat for the way they put last year's team together, not bringing back Rajon Rondo, letting pieces walk away. I got to tell you, I look at this Lakers team this year, and I feel like this is forced right now. I feel like this is not a team. I think this is a team this reminds me a lot of the Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, and Gary Payton team. It's wow, it looks really good on paper. I'm not sure if this is going to work. There's going to be a lot of sacrificing. And credit to Karl Malone on that team, by the way, who really sacrificed everything for a championship and fell short.
I think you used the right word, team. When you look around the West, there are some teams. The Phoenix Suns are a team. Everybody understands their role on that team, and everyone revels in their role on the team. Utah is a team. Utah, I really feel they're going to have the best record in the conference. No matter how well the Lakers play together, no matter what kind of sacrifices they're willing to make, there's an adjustment period. We saw it with the Heat when the first year they had LeBron and Bosh and Dwayne Wade. There was 15 games where they just didn't look good because they're all figuring each other out. And we can see that with the Lakers. You're not going to see that with Utah. You're certainly not going to see that with Phoenix. And I don't think you're going to see it with Golden State either, with Klay Thompson back. So there are some teams that have a team identity that don't have any problem sacrificing for each other because it's for the team as a whole. They're going to hit the ground running, I believe. Where the Lakers, whether they develop that feeling of team or not, there is going to necessarily be an adjustment period. It's not like 2K. You can't just put every all-star on one team and, wow, you win by 30 every night. That's not how it works in the real NBA. And that first 10 to 15 games could very well be the difference between winning the conference and being the third or fourth seed, no matter how good the Lakers are after that.
Yeah, I mean, now, Bill, we're going to do something a little different that we didn't do for the East. I have some questions written out here, and why don't we sort of rapid fire and discuss each topic? What do you think?
Sounds good. I'm up for anything.
All right, all right, here's the first one. Can the Clippers make the finals?
No. I don't think they can. They had the only reason they got out of the first round last year was because Dallas decided to stop playing. 11 guys on that team decided, let's all stand around and watch LUKA be amazing. And it literally, the Clippers were just shooting at will with no one guarding them. They walked into the second round. I don't think that happens this year. And I will say this a million times, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George are not complementary talent. And honestly, if I had to choose between one or the other, I'd take Paul George because he's going to play hard every night. Kawhi, does he have Sandin issues tonight? Is he going to miss 3 or 4 games for no reason? He's kind of
that's the thing,
West, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Is Kawhi strong enough mentally to go through a full 82 game season and then do it in the playoffs? That's really what it comes down to. I'm glad he likes playing with Paul George, but it's not meshing. It's not meshing well.
Let me tell you this. If I could trade Kawhi Leonard for DeMar DeRozan, I'm done. We're a better team. You need that kind of player. You need a guy who's going to play every night. He's going to play hard every night. He doesn't have to be an all-star. And DeRozan is an all-star, but you don't have to be Kawhi when he's at his best, a finals MVP type player. They don't need that. Paul George will do that. But you need a complementary talent, and those guys are not complementary.
I know you're going to have fun with this question. Boom.
Yeah. That's tough. The knee-jerk answer to that question is no. There's no reason. The Blazers have taken a step back during the offseason. They didn't approach it as if they're
desperate.
They're dependent on it, which it
they did not come out desperate. They did not come out desperate in the offseason to keep their superstar happy. And that's what you have to do.
Yep. So, but Damian Lillard is extremely loyal to Portland. He likes Portland. He wants to be there. That's very uncharacteristic of the modern NBA, where it's like, yes, I love Houston, but I only love it until I maybe don't have as good a shot to win here. Now I like Brooklyn. You know, that's the mentality of superstars around the league. Damian does not have that mentality. However, if they're playing 500 ball when you start getting close to the All-Star break, I can't imagine him not asking for a trade. He deserves to be on a much better team. He's an incredible player and deserves to have better players around him.
Oh, I know this is going to be a question. Let me give you my opinion on Damian Lillard. I think he's an unbelievable player, but what we said on Tuesday night about Trae Young also goes for Damian Lillard. You need to have enough trust in your teammates to not have to shoot 18-foot jump shots, 20-foot jump shots, 30-foot jump shots, half-court jump shots. You need to have enough trust. And until Lillard has enough trust in his teammates, they're never going to take it to the next level. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter who you bring in.
Luka's the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, Damian had the talent around him last season. He did. He had great talent around him last season. Yeah. They just didn't bring some of it back. Carmelo in particular. They didn't bring some of it back. So you do have a valid point, and it is Trae Young. It is. Even Jason Kidd said the same thing. And, you know, I have my doubts about him as a head coach in Dallas based on his track record as a coach. But he was spot on when he said this year Luka's going to have to learn what it means to have teammates and how to make them better. That's right. And if Kidd can make that happen, okay, coach of the year.
Well, and that's why we have that question on the screen right now. Can Luka carry the Mavs on his own? And I really don't think he can. I really do. I think
they can carry a team on their own. LeBron can't do it. KD can't do it. Russell Westbrook, James Harden, no, none of them can do it alone. There are too many teams with too many good players, and that right there is why. You know, it's funny because I got the new 2K, and I've been playing Dallas a little bit, Houston a little bit, and KP. When you play against Dallas, KP lives in the paint. He's dominant. And Luka catches them all the time for alley-oops. And I'm thinking, man, if they actually play this way.
Man, if they play pick and roll ball, those two play pick and roll ball.
And Hardaway stands in the corner and no one can guard him because they're too busy trying to figure out KP and Luka.
It makes no sense.
Actually play that way. Dallas is going to have a great season. But they're going to have to prove to me that they can play that way. It works on 2K. That doesn't mean they're going to do it in real life.
I know you're going to have a field day with this next question.
Yeah, the only reason they would be if Clay, I mean, heaven forbid he'd come back and have another.
Oh, my God. It would be done.
Well, injury, be the end of his career. You'd hate to see that. You want him to come back and average 25 points a game and be a beast from three like he was all the way up until this rash of injuries. They don't have the veteran depth, and Draymond Green alluded to this when he said we're sort of trying to develop and win at the same time because some of the guys on the roster are young players who need to develop while you still have the core, most of the core of the championship team still there. And can you do both of those things at the same time? And Draymond Green doesn't think you can. I feel like if you have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson in the backcourt, it opens up the whole rest of the field for anybody else who's on the floor to do whatever they want because you're going to be preoccupied with stopping their three-point game.
Yeah, and not only that too, but Steph Curry, look, after a little while carrying the load for a team, it becomes like burdening. And like the one thing you can say about Klay, Draymond, and Steph is they have rings. So it's not like they're going to go ring chasing.
Nope.
They are the destination for teams who want rings.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, to me, is the key factor of what's going to be going on. If a Lillard wants to be moved, if a Bradley Beal wants to be moved, those guys aren't going anywhere. They're going to him.
Absolutely not.
This is a great question, and I'm glad we're asking it. Do the Jazz feel disrespected? Look, at the end of last season for the Utah Jazz, I think there's a good portion of their fan base and some of the team that feel like it was NBA Finals or bust for them. The Clippers, a lot of people felt that the Clippers had no business being in the Western Conference Finals, that they were only there because the Jazz dropped the ball. My biggest problem is Donovan Mitchell really a superstar in this NBA? Is he a top 10 player in this league? And if we're going over the top 10 players in this league, are you putting Donovan Mitchell in that conversation?
Well, here's what I like about Utah. They're in a position not many teams are in. First of all, if you have the best record in the Western Conference, yes, your fan base expects you to be in the NBA Finals, and you should be. They had inopportune injuries to key people, Mike Conley in particular, and Donovan Mitchell. Conley's was worse, but those things happen. But if you're the Utah Jazz, you have all the pieces. You have all the talent. You have an amazing starting lineup. You have the best defensive center in the game. You have an incredible point guard. You have one of the best shooting guards in the game. You've added Rudy Gay, who is bulked up and really efficient at power forward, can also play the three. Heck, in today's NBA, he can play center. You have Jordan Clarkson off the bench, he was great six man of the year. You have the firepower off the bench. You have veteran presence, you have star power, you have depth. They should be in the NBA Finals. They're my favorite to be in the West, in the NBA Finals from the West. They have no one to blame except themselves if they don't get there. Is Donovan? Here's the thing, kind of like we talked about Antetokounmpo in the East. Before the playoffs started, I wasn't sure he was Batman. He laid his crap down in the finals and said, yes. Now, can he be that this season? If he is, the Bucks could be back in the finals. Donovan Mitchell, same thing. He came back from that injury in the playoffs and was phenomenal. And I thought, man, if he can do that for 75 games plus the playoffs, because you're gonna do an ankle, you're gonna miss some games. Can you be that dominant consistently? And if he can, the Jazz are champs. Nobody from the East can touch that team. But we haven't seen that from Utah. We've seen them be amazing in situations where it wasn't all on the line, but they haven't done it in the playoffs, and that's the knock on Utah. So do they feel disrespected? Yes. But you've got to take that disrespect and take it out on the opposition on the court, and you've got to prove people wrong. And if you don't do that, the disrespect is justified, honestly.
I can't argue with that. We have three more, and then we're out of here for the night. This is always going to be a fun one. Defending Western Conference champions. Can the Suns repeat? My opinion, no. There's a target on their back now every single night they're playing, and they didn't really do much to improve a lot of their weaknesses. I feel they lack veteran leadership on their bench, and when you have Chris Paul, who, as great as a player as he is, really hasn't won anything.
Nope.
So we're having a little problem there. What do you think?
With the Suns, the upside is not adding someone, I think, at this point. It's improvement over the offseason. And Chris Paul himself said Michael Bridges has come back so much better. We've seen DeAndre Ayton talking about how he wants to be a focal point of the offense. He wants to be more involved. These young guys taking a next step will be huge for Phoenix. That's the key to them. And then the second key is, can Chris Paul stay healthy? Because he's at the tail, certainly the downhill part of his career, still one of the great playmakers in the league. But how can he stay healthy? Can he continue to play at that level? And the thing is, they caught some breaks to get to the finals last year, some key injuries to different players on different teams they were playing against. And hey, that's part of the thing. Getting to the finals takes that. You got to get a lucky break here and there. But if there are not some similar breaks, can they get back to the finals? It's awfully tough. If they're in a series against Utah, if they're in a series against the Lakers, if they're in a series against Golden State, it's awfully hard to see them getting past those three teams in particular. Or if Kristaps Porzingis figures out how to play in the paint, if they're in a series against Dallas, Luka Doncic will tear Chris Paul up.
Yeah,
so
no, it's true.
It's an uphill battle for sure. Can they repeat? Yeah.
Will they? Is it?
I'd say there are three. I've got three teams ahead of them on my mental list of who could be out of the Western Conference in the finals.
Well, I can't wait to ask you this question. I know Adam Tisch is probably going to be like chomping at the bit to answer it, but let's do it anyway. Are the Memphis Grizzlies ready to take a step to be a higher playoff seed?
I love the Grizzlies because they're doing it the right way. They've drafted. They lost games, lost, paid their dues, got draft picks, drafted well. They've developed talent. Ja Morant is, I mean,
a great player.
Mission right there. He's incredible. And I think
Dylan Brooks as well.
That's one of those classic guys. You've got to be in the right system on the right team with the right teammates. And he has been phenomenal for Memphis, where before that he was a journeyman all over the place, a contributor, but not a factor.
He is a CJ McCollum, if there ever is one.
Oh, he really is. So, but the problem is the rest of the West got so much better, and star power got better, and so where do the Grizzlies fall into that? You know, you're still building. You're still a young team. So I think the bubble is not a disappointment if they make it into the playoff bubble round and have to fight for it. I don't think that's a disappointing season for them, given what the rest of the West has done. That being said, if Jason Kidd doesn't work out in Dallas, you know, if Houston, of course, totally rebuilding, there is some room for them to get into the playoffs and not have to play in the play-in tournament. But wow, that's just the rest of the West has gotten so tough, really tough.
And our final one for Bill, and this is going to shape the whole NBA Western Conference. Are you ready? Here's the question.
That's not a fair question. Skywalker is the ultimate Jedi, but I got to tell you, they're talking now. I saw a thing where they've got like something crazy. It's going to get like Marvel, where I can't even follow all the Marvel stuff because there's so much of it. And Star Wars is getting the same way. I love Rey. She is my favorite character of the new series. I wish to God J.J. Abrams had done the middle movie too, so we had one whole story that made sense instead of a first and third, and then the middle. You're like, what was that? I love Rey, but Luke, I got to tell you, Mark Hamill's the man. Always has been for me. Him and Harrison Ford, sign me up.
I love it. Well, I figured we'd throw that last question in there for some fun. Bill Ingram, thank you so much for hopping on with us, doing our little mini podcast here, talking NBA, getting everybody ready for the NBA season. Follow us at backsportspage.com. We're on all the social platforms, all the podcast platforms. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at RandyBSB, and of course on Facebook. And Bill, they can follow you
at the Rocket Guy, and also the Hardwood Huddle, of course, Spotify and all the outlets for that. And we're going to be doing a lot more stuff coming up. We've been, we had the off season, and now we're ready to get rolling.
Can't wait for doing it. Bill, when are we back next? Are we back next on Sunday or Monday?
Whenever you tell me you got time to do it, that's when we're doing it.
Oh, sorry. Put it on me all of a sudden. All right, guys. We'll see you back at the beginning of next week. We keep breaking down the NBA, getting you guys ready for the NBA season. For Bill Ingram, I'm Randy Zelia. This has been the Hardwood Huddle, courtesy of backsportspage.com.
May the force be with you.
Ooh.